Core systems are those long-standing, long-running, long-invested, foundation to the business, the systems we've put in place to automate what we need to do at the core of what we are. Over the course of the last 20 years, 30 years, those have become rock solid. In this year's trend on core renaissance, the question that we seek to answer is it a rock solid investment that's a rock solid foundation to build to the future? Or more like a sack of rocks you, the CIO, are having to drag around as you're trying to deliver that future, new capabilities, new features into the business and into the marketplace, and it's taking longer and costing more every time. Something we talked about in depth last year on the trend titled Technical Debt Reversal. If it's truly a rock-solid foundation, then the question becomes, how do I efficiently and effectively build to the future? If it's more on that order of the bag of rocks I'm dragging around, the question is, how do I answer that issue? How do I mitigate or remediate? Regardless, I think we should ask ourselves, how do we take what we've learned in creating innovation and value at the edge and bring that back into the core? So the next reasonable question then would be, how do I do that? How do we bring that back to the core? There are certain things that we learned at the edge. For example, the importance of design and persona-driven design. I bring that back into the core to discover that as I develop new capabilities in that core set of assets, I can have a renewal of the experience that my users have or the experience that the constituencies have through persona-driven design and design as a discipline. I think of renaissance, I think of rebirth. Sometimes we need to think about the other side of that coin, which is retire. The most potent force in IT cost reduction or elimination is actually turning things off. As we look into the marketplace for examples of this idea of core renaissance, one of the examples I would call out would be from a large government entity. This group have systems that, to their benefit, they've drawn value from for more than 20 years. Now, the other side of that coin is they have systems, literally the code for which is 20 plus years old. So they've enjoyed value from the core, but it actually has become a bit of one of the rocks in the sack as they drag along trying to be responsive to changes in regulatory environment, changes in user expectation, and their response actually is a very sophisticated response. There's no big bang, there's no explosion or rip and run. What they're doing is very sensibly moving forward, the application code in packaged services, leaving the data structures and data access architectures intact in pass one to allow like-for-like testing. And then in next phases and next generations moving the data architecture forward. So they're doing re-architecture, they're doing replatforming, and at the same time they're doing the design-driven or persona-driven renewal of the user experience. Not just delivering the system in the way that people currently do their work, which may or may not be optimal, particularly against new needs, but allowing them to deliver those systems, the user experience and the user engagement in ways that are representative of how the future of work should be.